All right, welcome back to the TCI Studios. We're going to do our preview and prediction video. Now we've got Will all cleaned up over here, so we should be ready to go. Biggest game of the regular season, safe to say. I know every game matters. We heard all that, hear that every week, but this one is huge. All right, Will, let's start off talking about some keys to the game Saturday. 3:30 kick in Death Valley. What's one of your keys to the game?
I'm interested to see how guys like Kayvon Wallace, who we spoke to this past week, and Tanner Muse and those guys, the safeties, how they perform in catching the ball if they get those opportunities. I think for Clemson...
Wait, they're defensive backs. They're not supposed to catch.
I know they're not supposed to, but at least catch one out of every four.
Okay.
They dropped 4 interceptions last year's game, and that turned out to be huge because I don't think that game is as close if they catch some of those interceptions, and obviously we saw how the end turned out where Clemson was hanging on to a win. Kayvon did make the catch on that one to preserve the win. So I think to me that's going to be the key right there is their safeties and the secondary guys make the plays when those opportunities present themselves, and don't give them second chances like they did last year.
Everybody talks about that end, and Dabo, I think, tried to emphasize this a little bit this week. Clemson had a 14-point lead twice in that fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm.
So that game was basically Clemson's. They let them come in late, kind of similar to what we saw in some of the ACC championship games in prior years. They just kind of let them hang around, and Texas A&M made a little run. But, that was not Trevor Lawrence offense that game.
True.
That was not Justin Ross, who played one play, I believe, in that game.
True.
So
Gage Cervenka only played one play in that game.
Yeah.
He started the last 9, remember? Right guard.
It's not the same Clemson team. My key to the game is going to be how Clemson starts. I don't think they played their best offensive passing performance last week. They didn't need to. They still put 52 points on the board, and you'd think they had scored 7, according to what some folks said in the media and some of the fans since the game. But I think it's important for Clemson to come out, especially after last year's close finish, come out, get a big lead, get the crowd in the game, and put their foot on the throat of Texas A&M. I think a lot of the players talked about it. We put some stuff in the Insider, just some of the stuff we've heard about. A lot of the guys have been pointing for this game. This is one they want. This is a statement game for Clemson. They don't have too many statement games during the regular season, so I think they're going to want to come out and start early. I expect Death Valley to be rocking. I think that'll certainly help us, and we'll see how that goes. What's another key you've got, Will?
I would say another key is if it's a close game, I want to see how Trevor Lawrence plays because we haven't seen Trevor in that kind of situation before. Not that I think he can do it, don't get me wrong. I just like to see it, because every time he's been the starting quarterback, the one game that was close, he got knocked out in the second quarter against Syracuse. After that, every game he started was a blowout, including last week's win against Georgia Tech. So, like to see how he performs in that kind of situation if the game is tight in the fourth quarter. And, I think that would be key to a win if it gets to that point. Now, again, will it get to that point is the question.
I was going to say, you obviously haven't seen the line for this game.
Oh, yeah, I have. And that again surprises me, but that's a different thing altogether. I think A&M's a better team than that, and I think it's going to be they're definitely within 2 touchdowns of Clemson. I just don't think it's that big of a blowout. But hey, I could be wrong because
Is Texas A&M better than Alabama?
I think they will be this year.
Okay.
We've already said. I've already talked about it in previous videos.
On that limb.
I went out there
with
once.
that.
Go ahead. I think they will be this year, and I don't say I think Alabama will still win that division, but I think that's going to be Alabama's one loss when they go down to Texas A&M in a few weeks and play the Aggies there. So I think it's going to be a good football team that Clemson's playing this week, and I want to see how they perform against a team that I don't think is at the same level talent-wise as Alabama and Clemson. But they're close enough that they're going to make it a competitive ball game. I really believe that. They just don't have the depth that an Alabama and Clemson have.
Well, we're going to get our predictions here in a minute. We obviously are way apart on our
it's
predictions.
Looking like we're going down that road.
What we think this game's going to be and what we think the season's going to be in the SEC West. But another key for me, obviously, is Clemson's defense. defensive line, linebacker play. They've got to be able to stop the run. I feel really good about Clemson's secondary. I think they'll give up a few big plays. Jimbo will find a tight end loose somewhere. They'll have a few big plays. I think Texas A&M's quarterback got a little too much credit for the game last year.
I would agree with that.
I don't think he played as well as people might believe. Again, Clemson had that game easily in hand. As Will talked about, Clemson catches 3 of those interceptions. It's a blowout. It's a 28-35 point game in the fourth quarter instead. So, but the key is, we've got the new guys up front. We've got some new linebackers in there. So to me, one of the big keys is how the front seven plays for Clemson. I think if they play well, then I think this game won't be very close. I think if they don't play well, then I think this game could be closer than I expect. All right, let's go to our predictions. Will's got it, fourth quarter, last second. Robert's going to be having a heart attack on the sidelines. Bart's going to have to be listening to me complain. But what's your prediction here, Will?
Well, I think a couple of things, and I meant to say this when we were talking about the keys, was I'm interested to see Clemson's wide receivers against their defensive backs, because those defensive backs are tall and lean guys, physical guys. I think that's going to be a good matchup in this game.
Their top corner's out.
Yeah, but he didn't. But also the guy he's replacing him was a starter last year also, and then the other guy is 6'4". It's going to be on the other side. So they're 6'4" and 6'2". Their safeties are 6'1" and 6'2".
So they can guard one of Clemson's 6'4" receivers.
But still 6. All the way across the board, there's not a guy under 6 foot on that entire secondary. But going to the prediction, I think, as I said earlier in the season, preseason, I thought this is a game where, and again last week, I think one of the things that showed to me in that game against Georgia Tech was Clemson's linebackers still got some work to do. I still think that's the weakness of the defense right now. And I think Jimbo Fisher is as good as anybody of exposing bad linebacker play, and he's done that to Clemson in the past, and I think he's going to try to do that in this game with his tight ends and his running backs running a lot of screen passes and wheel routes and things of that nature. With all that said, I think Clemson's going to have to score a lot of points, which I think Clemson can do and will do. So I'm going to say final score: Clemson 49, Texas A&M 35.
Okay, so he's got a 2-touchdown game. After all of that, I want to see how Trevor can play in a close game.
I still think Clemson's 2 touchdowns better. I just don't think they're 3 touchdowns better.
Okay.
I think they're 2 touchdowns better. Yeah.
So it's 2 touchdowns better a close game?
Well, yeah, it could be a 7-point game and Clemson gets a late score, makes it 14.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I think you're close on the high end. I think Clemson, again, as I said, I think the first quarter is going to be key. I think Clemson has a little statement to make this week. I think they read all the stuff that Dabo even talked about today. He didn't have to put things on the bulletin board anymore. They all just arrive on his phone somehow.
He sends it to their watch.
See it on his watch, although he uses Timex, so he doesn't see it on his watch. So they know what was said this week. They know what was said after the game Thursday night. So I think they're going to have a little motivation to kind of make a statement this week. I don't think Texas A&M, I think they're going to get some points, but I don't think they're going to get as many as you think. My prediction is something like Clemson 42, Texas A&M 17. So
we need to write this down. Hold on a second. So I actually gave Clemson more points,
yep,
and the visiting team more points for the first time ever, I think, than you. You always go higher than me on points,
yep,
and the other way too. So this is the first where you actually predicted a lower score than me.
Mm-hmm. And I'm doing a little bit of that based on what happened Thursday night.
Yeah.
Clemson's going to take what's there. If they need to run the ball to win the game, they're going to run the ball to win the game. Dabo doesn't care about the score. All he cares about is getting the win, and cares about how his team plays in December and January, and everything is a build up to that. So I think, if Clemson needs to just run the ball to win this one with the 4 senior offensive linemen, that's what they'll do. Of course, that keeps the score down a little bit. Plus, I think, Texas A&M's going to move the ball some. They're going to score some. So I don't see Clemson getting in the 50s. Hopefully I'm wrong, but I'll go with 42. But I'll take either one of the scores we've got here. As long as Clemson's walking out of there with a W, I would like to see them make a statement to help some of the Paul Feinbaums and some of the other folks out there understand the difference between the ACC and SEC. And, the drama now is, or the mantra now is, well, most of our teams in the conference aren't any good, but we still got some good ones.
It's the top 6.
Yeah, and obviously everybody's including Texas A&M in that top 6. So we'll find out Saturday afternoon what that looks like. Stay tuned to TCI. We're going to have a ton of coverage all day Saturday, all Saturday night, all Sunday. Bart's going to be working 24/7, rolling out photo galleries. So make sure you stay tuned to the Clemson Insider. We'll provide complete coverage of the biggest game of the year Saturday afternoon.